the early dawn of a forgotten decade, four village boys walked down a narrow forest path, unaware that this ordinary morning would become the beginning of a legend whispered for generations. The forest around them wasn't just trees and shadows. It was a place wrapped in old stories, some told, some never spoken aloud. Birds echoed the silence, and distant hills watched them like ancient guardians. These boys, though young, carried the restlessness of dreamers. Raju, the tallest among them, always felt the forest had secrets. Beside him, Shafin, wearing his faded blue shirt, believed every legend held a grain of truth. The other two, Babu and Litan, followed with curiosity scraping their hearts. Together, they had heard rumors of strange lights near the old banyan tree at the village edge. Lights that glowed without fire, without lamps, without any reason. As they walked, the scent of wet leaves mixed with something else, something metallic, almost electric. Raju paused. "Do you feel it?" he whispered. Shafin nodded slowly. It's as if the forest is breathing, waiting. Ahead of them lay their small village, huts scattered like quiet memories. Nothing looked unusual, yet the boys felt a pull, as though the day itself wanted to tell them something. They didn't know it yet, but their footsteps were carrying them toward a mystery, buried deeper than the roots of the forest, older than the village itself. What they would uncover would not only change their lives, but would awaken the entire village from decades of forgotten truths. And on this path, with the morning sun just touching the treetops, their journey into the heart of the unknown quietly began. At the foot of the ancient banyan tree, the boys gathered in a circle. The great roots twisted like the veins of the earth, rising from the ground as if the tree itself wanted to speak. This tree had stood for centuries, surviving storms, droughts, wars, and the endless passing of time. Elders said it watched everything. Some believed it remembered. Under its shadow, the boys argued in hushed excitement. Raju claimed he had seen a flicker of light near the tree the night before, like a lantern floating with no hands to hold it. Litan dismissed it, though his voice trembled. Maybe it was just fireflies, he said. But he knew deep inside that fireflies did not move with such purpose. Shafin leaned against a long, hanging root. "Then let's find the truth," he insisted. He loved mysteries, loved the thrill of discovering something hidden. But even he couldn't explain the strange humming they all heard. Soft, barely audible, but definitely real. The banyan tree stood silent, its leaves unmoving despite the wind brushing past the village. It was as if the tree was listening, waiting. As the boys continued debating, they were watched not only by the tree, but by something older, something beneath the soil, beneath the roots, beneath the stories the village had forgotten. Whatever lay hidden there had been dormant for years, and now, because of four curious boys, it was stirring. This tree would soon become the center of a night none of them would ever forget. Curiosity pushed the boys further than fear ever could. They crept toward the abandoned house at the edge of the village. A house sealed for decades, with stories of whispers from its empty windows. As they approached, Shafin crouched and peered through the rusted bars. Inside, dust floated like ancient memories, and the air felt colder than outside. Raju joined him, placing a hand on the cracked wall. "Someone lived here once," he murmured. "Someone important." Babu, nervous but unwilling to turn back, scanned the surroundings. If there's something hidden in this village, it's inside this house. A sudden sound, something shifting inside, made all of them freeze. It wasn't an animal. It wasn't the wind. It was softer, almost like a whisper. Shafin's fingers trembled as he leaned closer. What if the stories were true? He asked. Leighton swallowed hard. Then we're in the wrong place. But they weren't. They were exactly where destiny wanted them. At the door of a forgotten secret that had waited years for someone brave or foolish enough to look inside. The house had been silent, untouched for decades. But now, with 4 boys staring through its broken window, its secrets began to wake. Back beneath the banyan tree, the boys argued again, but this time something had changed. The air felt heavier. Even the birds avoided the branches above them. Raju retold what he heard inside the abandoned house, a whisper that didn't belong to any living soul. They huddled closer. "If we don't find out what's happening," Shafin said, "the elders never will. They're scared of the old stories." True enough, the villagers avoided both the house and the banyan tree, muttering prayers whenever they passed. They believed the tree was the guardian of an old wrongdoing, a tragedy hidden from the younger generation. The boys made a pact. No matter how frightening the truth was, they would uncover it. They would learn what happened decades ago, why the house was sealed, why strange lights appeared at night, why shadows moved beneath the banyan tree. Little did they know, their pact echoed the vows of 4 men from a different time, men who had once stood beneath the same branches, making promises they never lived to keep. And now, history was preparing to repeat itself through 4 new souls. Night fell, and the village gathered in the center. A rare meeting called only when something extraordinary happened. Torchlight flickered across anxious faces as the boys stepped into the crowd. Behind them, the banyan tree loomed like a silent witness. An elder woman spoke first. "We saw the light again," she said, her voice trembling. "The same light we saw the night our people disappeared." Murmurs spread through the crowd. The boys exchanged worried glances. Was this the same light Raju had seen, floating near the tree with no fire? An elderly man, bent with age, approached the boys. "You children have stirred something," he said. "The past does not like to stay buried." Shafin stepped forward. "What past? What really happened?" The elder shook his head slowly. "A truth we hid to protect you." Around them, the villagers chanted prayers, not out of custom, but out of fear. The torch in the center flickered violently, as if responding to an unseen presence. The boys felt it again. that hum beneath their feet, rising like the heartbeat of the earth. The villagers thought they were witnessing the beginning of another curse. But the boys, they were witnessing the return of a forgotten truth. The next morning, the boys gathered again beneath the banyan tree. But this time, they weren't alone. A crowd followed them, men and women who remembered the old stories they had once sworn never to repeat. Raju stepped forward. "Last night, the tree vibrated," he said. "Something is beneath it." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Some villagers stepped back. Others knelt in prayer. The great roots of the banyan seemed to pulse with life, though no wind blew. A woman in a blue sari approached the tree with trembling hands. "My brother disappeared here," she whispered. 40 years ago, he came searching for the truth, just like you." The boys exchanged uneasy glances. It was becoming clear they weren't the first to investigate the mystery, nor would they be the last. But something about their arrival had changed the pattern. The tree seemed to react to them as if it recognized them or needed them. The villagers waited for a sign, for the tree to reveal its silence. Story. And beneath the earth, something stirred, responding to the presence of so many souls united in fear and hope. The banyan tree, ancient and all-knowing, stood prepared to reopen the door to a past too long hidden. As word spread, even more villagers gathered. The crowd swelled, faces filled with confusion, fear, and desperate curiosity. 3 generations stood together under the tree's colossal branches. The whispers grew louder. Stories of missing men, forbidden rituals, and a night when the entire village woke to a light brighter than the moon. The boys stood at the center, no longer just curious children. They had become the pivot of the village's fate. Elders debated whether to dig beneath the tree. Others warned that disturbing the ground would bring misfortune. Suddenly, the earth trembled, just slightly, but enough for everyone to feel. A collective gasp swept through the people. The boys felt the vibration more intensely, as though it traveled through their bones. "What is the tree hiding?" Lytton whispered. A man pointed to the roots. "Years ago, people said the roots swallowed something unnatural. Something that didn't belong to this world." Raju clenched his fists. "Then we need to find out. We can't live in fear forever." His bravery rippled through the crowd. For the first time in decades, the villagers found a spark of courage. The truth, whatever it was, would no longer remain buried. The banyan tree, almost as if responding, dropped a single leaf. A signal. A beginning. The tension grew too intense for the authorities to ignore. By late afternoon, a jeep approached the village, carrying 3 officers and a government inspector. They pushed through the crowd, confused by the sheer number of anxious villagers standing beneath the banyan tree. "What's happening here?" the inspector demanded. Elders stepped forward hesitantly. "Sir, the old incident. It's happening again." The officers exchanged uncertain glances. The inspector shook his head. Superstitions won't solve anything. Move aside. But as he approached the tree, even he felt it. The faint humming under the soil. The strange, cold breeze, despite the heat. One officer placed his hand on a root and jerked back as if shocked. "This tree," he whispered. "It's alive in a way it shouldn't be." The villagers pleaded for the truth. The boys told the officers everything about the lights, the whispers, the trembling ground. The inspector exhaled slowly. "I've heard rumors about this place, but I never believed them." He ordered the officers to secure the area. The crowd stepped back as government uniforms formed a circle around the massive tree. Raju looked at the inspector and said quietly, "Sir, whatever is under that tree, it's been waiting for a long time." The inspector nodded. "Then today, we dig." And with that decision, the mystery of the banyan tree, the mystery that had haunted generations, was finally about to be uncovered.